Hi, my name is Rachel Phinnemore, and I'm here to talk to you about some research I did while I was a master's student at the University of Toronto on voice assistants. Have you ever found a voice assistant to be creepy? In this work, we investigate the factors that make voice assistants be perceived as creepy through a three-phase process, including construct definition and item development, secondly, scale development, and finally, scale evaluation. We produced the 7-item PCAS scale, which enables developers and designers to measure the perceived creepiness of voice assistants and thus ensure that newly designed voice assistants do not introduce these perceptions. So to start off, have you ever interacted with a voice assistant and felt one of these things? That it responds unexpectedly, perhaps it makes you feel like you're being recorded, or gives you an odd response? Well, in case you've not experienced any of these things, let's take a look at a recent Amazon Alexa commercial that shows how voice assistants could potentially be perceived as creepy in the future.
Hey babe, check this out. Alexa, it's game day.
Streaming football on Prime Video, closing blinds, chilling rosé.
Rosé?
Well, it's an afternoon game.
Oh. It's like she can read your mind. Your mind. I love that we get to sleep in.
Ordering fresh mint mouthwash. Extra strength.
I was thinking I should get a spray tan, because that's on Wednesday.
Activating blender.
Funeral's on Monday.
What about the gold, Papa?
Can't you see? That treasure all along. It was here.
Love the eye patch. When does the show open?
March 8th.
Setting reminder to fake your own death on March 8th.
What the?
When you have to do those love scenes with hot guys, is that fun or is that like the worst?
It's the worst.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
Scarlett, this bread is delicious. Did you make it?
Yes, it's from my Gammy's recipe.
Announcement. Gammy is short for she bought it at Whole Foods. Announcement. Colin left the oysters in the car for 5 hours.
It's probably better Alexa can't read your mind.
Bad idea.
What's the game?
So because voice assistants can be perceived as creepy, how can we ensure that future voice assistants we design are not? Before we dive into this question, it's important to define what we mean by creepiness. As defined by Langer and Koch, creepiness is a potentially negative and uncomfortable emotional response paired with perceptions of ambiguity towards a person, technology, or situation. Further, it's also important to define voice assistants. As defined by Molino and Tiberius, a voice assistant is an artificial intelligence-powered computer system that aims to imitate human intelligence while engaging in realistic conversations with users. However, we haven't been the first to focus on research in creepiness. In 2016, there was the paper on the nature of creepiness, which produced a survey on what makes a person creepy. In 2018, there was the Creepiness of Situation scale, which identified the role of emotional creepiness and creepy ambiguity. And in 2021, there was the Perceived Creepiness of Technology scale, which identified the role of implied malice, undesirability, and unpredictability. So while there have been these prior works on creepiness, voice assistants have unique differences from GUIs and other technologies, including their always-on nature and anthropomorphic effects. So we ask, how can you measure creepiness in voice assistants? To do so, we use a 3-phase process from Boateng et al. In 2018. We start with the construct definition and item development, where we reviewed 167 papers, extracted 381 quotes, and 3 researchers ran an open coding process to produce these 51 items. We then conducted 4 expert interviews who gave feedback on the 51 items, as well as ideas for additional items which led to 88 items. We then took these 88 items and ran exploratory factor analysis, where 198 participants read a creepy scenario and then rated the scenario using these 88 items. We then conducted Verimax rotation and removed the low-loading items to produce the 7-item scale. We ran 3 subsequent surveys in the scale evaluation to ensure the validity of the scale, and further details of this can be seen in the paper. This process led us to produce the validated 7-item PCAS scale, where the items correspond to the 5 factors of control, intention, privacy, behavior, and value, with items annotated with the asterisks being novel creepy factors. So now that we've outlined why the PCAS scale was important, how it was developed, let's discuss how the PCAS scale can be used. The PCAS scale is designed for users who have experience with voice assistants, such as issuing a voice assistant command. Users will view or use a prototype of a voice assistant and then complete the 7 scale items using a 1 of disagree to 7 of strongly agree Likert scale. The responses will be summed with scores ranging from 7 to 49, where higher scores indicate greater levels of creepiness. In addition to the scale itself, we produce a set of design guidelines that correspond to the scale items. Under the guidelines of intention, for example, we provide suggestions such as offering transparency about device functionality to prevent false mental models from being created, as well as using a multi-layer interface approach to over-communicate the functionality with explanations. In summary, the contributions we make are a survey tool that measures the perceived creepiness of voice assistants, the identification of 4 novel factors that influence the perception of creepiness in voice assistants, particularly control, privacy, behavior, and value, and finally, design guidelines to improve the design of future voice assistants. Thank you very much, and hope you have a chance to check out the paper.